Daddy, she's crying. Those 3 words from a 5-year-old girl did something no rival, no cop, no loaded gun had ever done to Dominic Moretti. They stopped him cold. There, standing in the crowded mall on Christmas Eve, was Emma, his ex-wife, the woman who had walked away from their family without looking back. But why was she alone? Why was she crying? And why, despite everything, did Dominic still feel that familiar pull toward her? What happens next will change their lives forever. Christmas Eve, 5:42 p.m. The Greenwood Mall was packed, loud and glowing with cheap lights. Shoppers rushed past with red bags and fake smiles. Holiday music echoed from every direction. It smelled like pretzels and cinnamon and stress. And in the middle of all of that, walking with his head slightly lowered and his hand wrapped around a tiny mitten, was the most feared man in the Moretti organization. He didn't belong here. Dominic didn't do crowds. Crowds were chaos, and chaos got people killed. But his daughter had asked. No, she hadn't asked. She'd looked up at him with those huge brown eyes and said, "Please, Daddy, just Santa. I've been good, I promise." Dominic could order a room full of armed men to sit down without raising his voice. He could end a negotiation with a single look. But he could not, under any circumstance, say no to Lily Moretti. So here he was, in a mall, on Christmas Eve, letting his security team circle him at a distance so they wouldn't scare her, keeping his coat open so Lily's mitten could stay inside his hand, and counting exits in his head without even thinking about it. Then Lily tugged on him again, stronger this time. "Daddy, Daddy, she's crying." He followed her gaze, and the world just stopped. Emma. For a second his mind refused it, like it was a trick of light, a ghost. But it wasn't a ghost, it was her. She was standing alone near the pretzel stand, one hand over her mouth like she was trying not to make a sound, shoulders shaking. Her hair was pulled back in a messy knot like she hadn't had time to do it right. She looked thinner, paler, fragile in a way she never used to look, and she was crying. Dominic didn't move. He didn't breathe. 3 years. 3 years since the night she left. 3 years since he woke up, and the side of the bed was cold, and Lily was only 2 and screaming, and the woman he had put a ring on, the only person he had ever let that close, was just gone. No explanation, no goodbye, no warning. He had told himself 1,000 versions of that night so he could live with it. She was weak. She chose comfort over family. She couldn't handle his world. She didn't love him enough. She didn't love their daughter enough. He had needed those versions to keep his anger burning. Anger made it easier to get up in the morning. Anger made it easier not to miss her. But now she was 10 feet away, in the same air as him, crying, and his daughter had just called her out loud. Lily pulled again. "Daddy, that's Mommy. Mommy's crying." Heads were starting to turn. That jolted him back. Dominic moved. "Lily, wait." His voice was low, urgent. Too late. Lily wriggled her little hand free and ran. "Lily." His heart slammed hard enough to hurt. "Lily, stop." He didn't shout. Dominic never shouted in public. But half the food court still snapped to attention because of the way his voice cut the air. One of his men, Vince, a broad-shouldered shadow in a dark jacket, took a step like he might grab the girl. Dominic's eyes flicked over. No. Vince backed off instantly. Dominic followed his daughter through the crowd, every muscle coiled. He could feel people looking at him, whispering, recognizing him. He didn't care. All he saw was Lily's red hat bouncing through coats and shopping bags until she stopped in front of a woman who hadn't held her in 3 years. "Mommy." Emma looked up. The sound that left her wasn't a word. It was more like a gasp that had been trapped in her chest for too long. "Oh my God," she whispered. Her hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes flooded. "Oh baby, oh my God." "Lily." Dominic reached them and stopped 1 arm's length away, close enough to pull Lily back if he had to, close enough to break anyone's hand if they reached for either of them. Not close enough to touch Emma. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Emma slowly sank to her knees, like her legs couldn't hold her. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely bring them up. She didn't grab Lily. She didn't rush her. She just cupped her face, careful, like she couldn't believe she was real. "Hi, Mommy," Lily said softly. "Why are you crying?" Emma tried to smile. She couldn't. Her lips just trembled. "Because I missed you." Dominic felt something hit behind his ribs, hard. "Missed you?" "No. No." She did not get to say that. She did not get to walk out and then stand here and say she missed. "Get up," he said quietly. Emma froze. Her eyes lifted from Lily's face to his. That was the first real eye contact in 3 years. There was a time she could read him. Now, when she looked at him, she flinched. She should. The entire mall felt blurry around them. The music, the talking, the squealing kids waiting for Santa. It all faded. It was just the three of them in a circle of too bright lights and too many memories. "Dominic," she whispered. He hated how his name sounded coming out of her now. Soft, careful, like she was walking barefoot over broken glass. "Get up," he repeated. Emma swallowed and stood slowly, not defensive, not angry. She looked scared. Good, he told himself. She should be scared. But there was something else in her face. Something he didn't recognize. Not guilt, not shame. Fear, yes. But fear of what? Of him? Of this? Of something else? Lily reached for Emma's hand. "Daddy, she's sad," she said, turning her little face up toward him like she was reporting a problem he could fix. Those big brown eyes. Those were Emma's eyes. "Daddy, we can't just leave her here. It's Christmas." People were definitely staring now. Dominic could feel it. The air had changed. Curiosity, phones. He didn't need this scene. He didn't need the wrong person recognizing Emma and deciding to use her. He didn't need cops getting nosy. He didn't need enemies seeing a point of leverage. He exhaled once through his nose and made a decision. "Come on," he said. Emma blinked. What? Not here." His voice was calm, controlled. It always was in public, but under the calm was command. He tipped his chin at Vince without looking away from her. The signal was tiny. Nobody else in the food court even noticed. But Vince did. Within seconds, 2 more men had casually shifted positions. One near the hallway to the restrooms, one leaning against a kiosk. They weren't close enough to scream armed security, but they were exactly where Dominic wanted them. He always controlled a room, even a mall food court on Christmas Eve. Especially then. Emma saw it happen. Her eyes widened. She remembered. Of course, she remembered. Dominic glanced at Lily. "Stay with me," he said. Lily nodded and slipped her small hand back into his. He looked at Emma. "You're coming with us." Emma looked like she might say no. He lifted an eyebrow. She didn't say no. He led them across the mall, past the Santa line, past the ugly sweater kiosk, down a short hallway toward the corner coffee shop. It was half empty and quiet, with warm yellow lights and fogged windows from the cold. Perfect. He pushed the door open and let Lily go in first. Emma followed. He went in last. Then he looked at the kid behind the counter. "We're closed," Dominic said. The barista's mouth opened. We're not, sir. You are now." It wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. The kid swallowed, looked at Dominic, at his men settling by the door, and nodded fast. Yes, sir. Of course." The kid flipped the sign to closed and disappeared into the back so fast he almost tripped. Emma let out the smallest breath. Dominic heard it. He didn't sit. Not yet. He stayed standing, shoulders squared, one hand on Lily's shoulder like instinct. Emma stood across from him. She wrapped her arms around herself. She wouldn't quite meet his eyes. Lily climbed up into one of the little chairs and swung her legs. "Can I get hot chocolate?" "Yes," Dominic said automatically. Her smile made her hat slip sideways. He fixed it for her, gentle, without thinking. Emma watched his hand. Her face changed, and that, more than anything, lit fire under his chest. Because she was looking at him like she hadn't expected him to be good with their daughter, like she was surprised, like she didn't know him. Don't look at me like that, he said. Emma blinked. Like what? Like I failed her. Her mouth parted. Dominic, no, that's not, I never thought that. He let silence answer instead of words. He finally sat across from her, but he didn't relax. He leaned forward, forearms braced on his knees, jaw tight. Talk, he said. Emma swallowed. Can Lily? Lily is staying, he said. Whatever you have to say, you say it in front of her. Emma's eyes flicked to their daughter. Lily was stirring invisible hot chocolate in an empty paper cup and humming to herself, content, happy, like this was the best night of her life. Emma's throat moved. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Her hands were shaking. Start with why, Dominic said. His voice never rose, but it had weight. You disappeared. You left your daughter. You left me to explain why her mother was gone and never coming back. You don't get in front of us again unless you're ready to answer that. Emma closed her eyes for half a second. When she opened them, they were wet. I know what you think I did, she said softly. I know what it looked like. I know what you told yourself so you could hate me without breaking. Dominic didn't react. He didn't blink. Emma took a slow breath, like she was steadying herself against a punch. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, she said. I didn't leave because I stopped loving her. I left because I was sick. Dominic's face didn't change, but something behind it did. A crack, small, fast. Sick, he repeated. Yes. What kind of sick? Emma's mouth trembled. After Lily was born, I didn't sleep. Not at all. I was scared all the time, not normal scared. Sick, scared. I thought if I held her, I would drop her. I thought if I took my eyes off her, she would stop breathing. I thought if I stayed, I would hurt her. I thought if I stayed, I would hurt myself. I couldn't eat. I couldn't shower. I couldn't feel anything except terror. Lily had gone quiet. Emma kept going, voice barely above a whisper. And I couldn't tell you. That hit him like a slap. Dominic leaned in. You couldn't tell me. Tears finally spilled over her lashes. You're Dominic Moretti. So? So you don't get to look weak, she whispered. Your world doesn't allow it. Your wife doesn't get to sit on the floor, shaking and crying and saying, please help me, I think I'm losing my mind. Your wife doesn't get to say, I'm scared to be alone with our baby because I don't trust myself and I don't know why. Her voice cracked on that last part. She pressed her lips together and forced herself to steady. Dominic, in your world, that's not I need help. That's leverage. That's a weapon someone can use. That's someone's opening to take your child. Take me. Take everything from you. He stared at her. Emma swallowed. I didn't leave because I didn't love her. I left because I thought she was safer without me. I thought you were safer without me. I thought I was poison in this house. Silence. The kind that fills your ears and makes your heartbeat sound too loud. Dominic's jaw flexed once. Lily looked from her father to her mother, trying to understand. Finally, Emma wiped her face with the back of her hand and tried to smile at Lily. I was sick, baby, that's all. I was very, very sick, but I got help. I'm better. Lily's eyes were huge. You were sick in your tummy? Emma let out a tiny laugh that broke in the middle. No, honey, in my heart. Lily thought about that for a long second. Then she slid off the chair, walked around the little table, and climbed right into Emma's lap like she'd never been gone. Emma made a soft, broken sound and wrapped her arms around her daughter like she was afraid someone was going to take her away again. Lily pressed her face into Emma's chest. Don't cry, she whispered. Please don't cry, Mommy. Dominic felt his throat get tight. That hadn't happened in years. He didn't allow it to happen. Not in front of anyone. Especially not in front of her. Hey, he said quietly. Emma looked up at him over Lily's hair. Her eyes were wide, red, open. Answer me something, Dominic said. And don't lie to me, Emma. You lie to me, I walk you out that door and you don't see her again. You understand? Emma nodded. No hesitation. He believed that. Did you stop loving her? It wasn't even a question. It was a demand. Emma shook her head hard. Never. Not for 1 second. I thought about her every day, every single day. Lily pulled back just enough to look at her mother's face. Then why didn't you come back? That small voice. That honest voice. That voice Dominic had been protecting alone for 3 years. Emma's face crumpled. Because I was scared, she whispered. Scared you wouldn't want me anymore. Scared I'd hurt you again. Scared Daddy would hate me. Dominic felt something under his ribs twist. Lily frowned, thinking about that like it was a math problem. Then, with the simple certainty only a 5-year-old can have, she looked at Dominic and said, Daddy? She's crying. Dominic closed his eyes for 1 second. Just one. When he opened them, Emma was still holding their daughter like she was holding air for the first time in years. She looked breakable. She also looked honest. And Dominic realized something that hit harder than all the anger he'd been carrying. He had never, not once, asked himself if she was alive. He had been angry she left. He had never asked if she survived. That thought burned. He swallowed it. He straightened in his chair. Where are you staying? He asked. Emma blinked. What? Where? He repeated. At my mom's house, she said softly. She's sick. I came back to take care of her. I've been here a week. A week. She had been in his city for a week, in his reach, in his air. And only tonight did fate shove her into his line of sight. Tomorrow is Christmas, Dominic thought. He didn't say it, but it was there. Lily said it for him. Daddy? He looked at her. Can Mommy come to Christmas? Emma froze. Dominic didn't answer right away. He should have said no. That was the rule. That was the wall. No access. No second chance. You walk out on a Moretti, you don't walk back in. But Lily was looking at him like this was the only thing she wanted in the world, and Emma was holding their daughter like a drowning person, holding the first breath of air. And somewhere deep, under the anger and the control and the reputation, a voice he hadn't listened to in a long time said, It's Christmas. It's just dinner, he told himself. Nothing else. Just dinner. His father's voice, a memory he never talked about, flickered up in his head. Christmas is for forgiveness, son. If you can't forgive on Christmas, you're hopeless. Dominic exhaled slowly. His voice, when he finally spoke, was low and steady. 6 o'clock, he said. Emma stared at him. What? Dinner, my house, 6. Emma was speechless. Lily lit up like the tree in the center of the mall. Really? Dominic nodded once without looking away from Emma. Don't be late. Emma swallowed. Dominic, are you sure you want? No, he said honestly. That made her blink. Her mouth trembled again. But she does, he added, tipping his chin toward Lily. And I do not tell her no on Christmas. Emma shut her eyes. Just for a second. Like she was praying. When she opened them again, there was something new there. Not just fear. Not just guilt. Hope. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I'll be there. Lily leaned back and smiled up at both of them. Good, she said softly, satisfied. Like she'd just solved the biggest problem in the world. Then she rested her head against Emma's chest again and said 2 tiny words that went straight through Dominic like a blade. She's family. The room felt too small. Dominic swallowed hard. He couldn't answer right away. He didn't trust his voice. Family. That word to him wasn't cute. It wasn't soft. It was oath. It was blood. It was the one thing he'd kill for without thinking, and die for without regret. Lily had just placed Emma back inside that circle with one sentence. Like it was that simple. Like it was already true. Emma heard the words and broke. Her face pressed into Lily's hair and her shoulders trembled and she cried without sound. Dominic couldn't look at that for long. It did something to him he didn't let anything do. He stood. Come on, he said quietly. I'll walk you out. Emma nodded, still shaking. They moved together toward the door. Lily held both their hands. one in each of her little mittens like she'd been doing it every day of her life. People in the mall were still moving, still talking, still buying gifts like nothing important had happened. But Dominic felt it. Something had just shifted. Something he had locked shut for 3 years had just cracked. He didn't know yet if that was good or fatal. At the exit, Emma stopped. She looked up at him under the glow of cheap holiday lights. "Dominic," she whispered. "Thank you." His jaw tightened. "Don't thank me." Her eyes searched his face. "Then what do you want me to say?" He leaned in just enough that only she could hear him. "Show up," he said. "Don't disappear again. Don't touch my door if you're going to run." Emma nodded, fast. "I won't. I swear, I won't." "We'll see," he said. Her lips parted like she wanted to say his name again. He didn't let her. 6, he repeated. "Don't be late." She nodded again, holding Lily's mittened hand to her mouth for a second, like she couldn't let go yet. Then she let Lily go. That was the hardest part for her. He saw it. Emma backed away a step, then another. Then she turned and walked down the sidewalk into the cold December night, wiping her face, shoulders still shaking. Dominic watched until she was gone. Only then did he scoop Lily up with one arm and tuck her close against his chest like she was the only thing in the world that still made sense. Lily rested her head on his shoulder. "Daddy?" "Yeah, baby." "Did you miss Mommy?" His throat worked. He could have lied. He didn't. "Yes," he said. Lily smiled into his jacket and relaxed against him, safe. Dominic stood there in the doorway of a closed coffee shop on Christmas Eve, his daughter in his arms, his pulse still unsteady, and stared into the cold night where his ex-wife had just disappeared again. 3 years ago, he'd sworn she'd never get another chance to walk back into his life. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, he was letting her in his house. Why? He had no answer he liked. And that was the most dangerous feeling of all. The next evening, the Moretti mansion stood like a fortress against the snow. Black SUVs lined the driveway, engines running low, their drivers keeping watch while Christmas lights blinked faintly against the stone walls. Inside, Dominic moved through the kitchen with sleeves rolled up, rolling dough for dinner rolls like he had done every Christmas since Emma left. He didn't buy food from restaurants that night. This one tradition was his. He glanced at the clock. 5:42 p.m., 18 minutes. He'd been telling himself for hours that she wouldn't show, that it would be better if she didn't. But his pulse still jumped every time he heard tires on the gravel road. "Sir," Vince said, appearing by the doorway. "You want us inside during dinner?" "No. Keep the perimeter tight. No interruptions." Vince nodded and left quietly. The house was too quiet now. Usually Lily filled it with noise, music, cartoons, her tiny voice echoing from room to room. Tonight she was upstairs, too excited to sit still, changing dresses for the 10th time. Dominic smiled despite himself. When the doorbell rang at exactly 6, his heart did something he didn't like. He wiped his hands and went to the door. Emma stood there, snow caught in her hair, holding a small box of pastries. Her coat was too thin for the weather. She looked nervous. "Hi," she said softly. "We brought dessert." "We?" Before she could answer, Lily's voice echoed from the stairs. "Mommy?" The sound hit him like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Lily ran down the stairs and straight into Emma's arms. The woman laughed through tears, lifting her easily, kissing her cheek over and over. Dominic looked away. He couldn't watch that for too long. It cracked something inside him. "Come in," he said finally. Emma stepped inside like she was crossing into a church. Her eyes scanned the house. The same curtains, the same pictures, the Christmas tree in the same corner. When her gaze reached the fireplace, she stopped. Hanging there were 3 stockings. Lily, Dominic, and hers, still there. "You kept it," she whispered. He poured a drink. Lily insisted. They sat at the long oak table. Dominic served the food in silence. He didn't know what to say. His world was one of orders, not conversations. Lily filled the space with stories about school, about her dance recital, about a friend who still believed Santa lived in Florida. Emma listened like every word was a gift. When Lily asked for more potatoes, Dominic served her quietly. Emma's eyes softened watching him. "You cook now," she said. "I never stopped," he replied. The warmth in her smile was small but real. It made his chest tighten. Halfway through dinner, Lily jumped off her chair. "Can I show Mommy my room?" Dominic hesitated. Emma waited, not assuming permission. That simple patience, after all the years, mattered more than she knew. "Go ahead," he said finally. When they disappeared upstairs, Dominic leaned back, exhaling for the first time all day. He didn't notice Emma standing at the railing until he heard her voice again. "She's beautiful," she said quietly. He turned. "She looks like you." "She acts like you," Emma answered. "When she wants something, she doesn't take no." That almost made him laugh. Almost. But then her face changed. "Dom, I owe you." "Don't," he cut her off. "You don't owe me words. You owe her consistency." She nodded, tears threatening again. "I'm trying. I'm still learning how to be okay." He studied her. No makeup, nervous hands, a woman who looked like she had been through war and maybe had survived one. "Sit," he said finally, motioning to the sofa near the fireplace. They sat opposite each other, firelight between them. "I didn't understand before," he said slowly. "I thought you left because of me, because of what I do." Emma shook her head. "I left because I couldn't breathe. You didn't cause it. You just didn't see it." He met her eyes. "You should have told me. I didn't know how. You were always strong. You fixed things. I didn't want to be another thing you had to fix." He didn't answer. He just stared at the flames until they blurred. Then she reached into her bag and handed him a small wrapped package. He frowned. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a photo in a simple wooden frame, Dominic holding newborn Lily in the hospital, staring down at her with awe he didn't remember showing. His throat tightened. "My mom found it," Emma said. "I thought, you should have it." Dominic turned the frame in his hands. He had killed men, survived ambushes, lost friends. But this tiny photo shook him more than all of that combined. "She doesn't remember you leaving," he said quietly. "She only remembers me telling her you loved her." Emma's breath caught. "You told her that?" "Every time she asked." "Why?" "Because she's a kid," he said simply. She deserved to believe it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She leaned forward, whispering, "I never stopped, Dom. Not for a day." He looked up, meeting her eyes, voice low. "You're the one who left. I didn't." "I know," she said, "and I'd spend the rest of my life proving I won't again, if you let me." For the first time, the air between them changed. Not just grief, but heat. Not lust yet, but something awake. Upstairs, Lily's voice carried faintly, "Daddy, we're putting the star on top." He stood, clearing his throat. "Let's finish Christmas before she breaks the tree." Emma smiled through tears. "Yes, sir." He almost smiled back. Almost. When they returned to the living room, Lily was balancing on a chair, holding the star. Dominic lifted her easily and helped her place it on top. The lights reflected in her eyes, and Emma stood beside them, whispering, "It's perfect." For a moment, it was. Then Dominic's phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen. "Rossi spotted near your property. No move yet. Watching." His face hardened instantly. He slid the phone away before Emma saw it. Not tonight. Not in front of them. He turned off the ringer, wrapped his arm protectively around Lily, and looked at both of them. "Dinner's over," he said softly. "Time for bed." Lily hugged her mother goodnight and whispered something that made Emma's face crumble again. "Don't go far." When the child disappeared upstairs, silence fell once more. Emma stood near the doorway, coat in hand. "Thank you for letting me be here," she said. "I know I don't deserve it." Dominic stepped closer. "You're right. You don't." Her breath hitched. He paused, then added quietly, "But she does." Emma blinked back tears. "I'll come by tomorrow if that's okay." He studied her face. Every instinct told him to keep the walls high, but the sight of her trembling fingers clutching that thin coat made something shift. "Tomorrow," he said. "Same time." She nodded. "Merry Christmas, Dominic." He didn't answer. He just opened the door. Snow was falling heavier now. She stepped out, paused once on the porch, and looked back. He stood in the doorway, tall, still, watching. And for a moment, just one heartbeat in that frozen air, neither of them felt like enemies or strangers. They looked like what they used to be. Family. Then she turned and walked into the night. Dominic closed the door behind her, exhaled, and whispered to himself, "Don't disappear again." He didn't realize until that moment he was hoping she wouldn't. Christmas morning in the Moretti house felt different. It wasn't quiet. It was steady. Snow tapped against the windows. The tree lights were still on from the night before. Wrapping paper littered the living room floor like soft confetti. And for the first time in 3 years, Dominic woke up without that heavy, familiar ache in his chest. Lily had crawled into his bed at 6:12 a.m., whispered, "Santa came," and then proceeded to shake him like a small, polite earthquake until he gave up pretending to sleep. Now she was sitting in the middle of the rug in her pajamas, surrounded by presents, telling a stuffed reindeer all about last night when Mommy came for dinner like a Christmas movie. Dominic watched her from the kitchen doorway. That part still didn't feel real. He poured coffee and checked the security feed on his phone with his other hand. 3 cars rotating the street. Vince on the south corner. No unusual movement. The message from last night sat in his notifications. "Rossi spotted near your property." Rossi wasn't just any name. Rossi had history. Rossi had tried once, years ago, to take a shot at Dominic in public. Dominic made sure Rossi didn't get a second chance back then. If Rossi was circling again now, tonight wasn't just about Christmas anymore. Tonight was about leverage. If they thought Emma was leverage, no. He wasn't letting that thought breathe. Not in his house. Not on Christmas. The doorbell rang at 5:58 p.m. Lily didn't even pretend to be calm. She launched to her feet and ran down the hall. Dominic let her reach the door first, but his body was already moving. He was there before it opened. He always stood there first, between his daughter and whoever was on the other side. The lock turned, the door swung. Emma stood on the porch, hands tucked around something warm in a bakery bag, cheeks pink from the cold. Her hair was down this time, soft around her face. She looked better than last night, less like a ghost, more like a person. Lily threw her arms around her waist. "You came back." Emma laughed, breathless. "Of course I did. I said I would." Dominic watched Emma step in again like she'd never forgotten where to put her feet. She hesitated only once, when her eyes met his. "Hi," she said quietly. "Get inside," he said. He wasn't trying to sound harsh. It still came out as an order. Her mouth tugged like she wanted to smile at that. Once the door was shut, Dominic nodded toward the bag in her hands. "Peace offering," Emma said, lifting it. "Lily told me yesterday you burned the Christmas cookies." Lily gasped. "Mom, we weren't supposed to tell him that part." Emma covered her mouth, eyes wide. "Oh no, I just snitched, didn't I?" For 2 seconds, Dominic almost smiled. They ate together again. Leftover ham, rolls, potatoes, the cookies Emma brought. It wasn't fancy. It felt normal. That alone felt dangerous. At some point, Lily climbed into Emma's lap and stayed there, like she hadn't done that in years, because she hadn't. Emma held her close, kissing the top of her head without thinking. Dominic watched. Every inhale, every twitch. It should have pissed him off. It didn't. It hurt. After dinner, Lily looked up, blinking slow. "Daddy, I'm tired." "Bedtime," Dominic said softly. "Can Mommy read?" The question hit the room and stayed there. Emma didn't assume. She didn't jump in. She looked at Dominic and waited. That respect, that "I know this depends on you," calmed something ugly in him. He nodded once. "One story." Lily cheered. The two of them disappeared down the hall toward Lily's room, their voices drifting back in happy whispers. Dominic stayed in the dining room, alone for the first time with his thoughts. He didn't like that. He poured himself a drink and didn't touch it. His eyes flicked to the window, to the faint reflection of his own face. He used to picture this. Not the part where Emma vanished. Not the part where he did Christmas alone with a little girl who asked questions he couldn't answer. He used to picture this, her here, his family here, safe. What he felt now wasn't peace. It was closer to wanting. Soft footsteps pulled him out of it. He turned. Emma was in the doorway, hands laced together like she was steadying herself. "She's out," she whispered. "Didn't even make it to page 3. He huffed a breath. "She does that. Bosses me all day and then face plants before 9. Emma smiled. "That's your personality on her bones." Something in him pulled tight. "Sit," he said. She sat. They were close now, not across a big table, not with a wall of anger between them. Just a few feet apart in the warm light of his dining room, Christmas tree glowing in the corner. Emma looked at him for a long time, searching his face in a way that made his pulse thicken. Her voice went quiet. "You haven't asked why I came back now." He kept his gaze steady. "You told me last night. Your mother's sick." Emma swallowed. "That's not all." "Of course it wasn't." "Say it," he said. Her hands tightened. "I got better." He didn't speak. "I broke." She continued softly. "After Lily was born, I went under. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't eat. I couldn't hold her without shaking. I thought I was the worst mother on earth. I thought I was dangerous." Her eyes shined. "I thought you were better off without me." He stayed silent, jaw tight. "I left so I wouldn't ruin you," she whispered. His voice dropped. "You think walking out didn't ruin me?" Emma went still. "Good," he thought. "Feel that." "I know what I did to you," she said, voice shaking. "I know you had to carry everything alone. I know I don't get to ask you for anything now. I only came back because I can finally stand up without breaking. I can finally look our daughter in the eye without shaking. I can finally love her the way she deserved from the start." Her chin lifted a little. "I didn't come to take her. I didn't come to make your life complicated. I came to earn a chance to be in her life without hurting her." He stared at her. Her breathing was fast. Her hands wouldn't stay still. She wasn't lying. He could read people. It had kept him alive for years. She wasn't lying. And that made it worse. Because now what the hell was he supposed to do with all that? "You should have told me," he said. Emma nodded. "I know. You think I wouldn't have protected you?" Her eyes flicked up fast. "Dominic, no," he cut in. "Say it to me. You think I wouldn't have protected you?" Her lips parted. Her voice came out small. "No. I think you would have burned the world down for me." Heat sparked under his skin. He leaned in. "Then why did you make me watch you walk away?" She swallowed. "Because I thought if I stayed I wouldn't live." The world went quiet in his head. He hadn't expected that. Not, "I was tired." Not, "I wanted out." Not, "Your life scared me. I thought I wouldn't live." "You think I would have let you die in my house?" he asked. Her eyes filled. One tear slid. "I didn't want Lily to see me like that. I didn't want her to watch me fall apart and think it was her fault. I thought she'd be happier with you. Stable. Safe." Dominic let that sit. Safe. She had left their daughter with a Mafia boss because, in her mind, he was the safest place. That should have made him laugh. It didn't. It hit him in the gut and stayed there. His voice dropped. "I never hated you." Emma's breath caught. He hadn't planned to say that. It just came out. "I was angry," he said, "for a long time, but hate?" He shook his head. "No, I just didn't understand." Emma pressed her lips together. Tears slipped free anyway. Then she whispered, "I never stopped loving you." Everything in him went tight. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just felt it land. She didn't say, "I loved you." Past tense. She said I never stopped. He leaned forward, slow, not touching her. Not yet. Making her feel him there. Listen to me, he said quietly. She did. Nobody talks to you with disrespect in this house. Nobody raises a voice to you in front of Lily. Nobody uses your name. Nobody looks at you twice unless I say they can. Emma swallowed. Dominic. That means, he continued, calm, steady, absolute. You're under me again. As long as you're under me, nobody touches you. Her eyes went wide. Dom. That includes me, he added. She froze. He held her gaze. I'm not touching you until I know you're not going to disappear and rip her open again. I won't let her break twice. You understand me? Emma nodded quickly, breathing uneven. I won't disappear. I swear I won't. I'm here. I'm staying in town. I'm working. I'm okay now. I'm here. His jaw worked once. He believed her. That scared him. Before he could say anything else, a pair of small feet padded into the room. They both turned. Lily stood there in fuzzy socks, half asleep, hair messy, clutching her stuffed reindeer. Her voice was small. Mommy? Emma was on her feet instantly. Yeah, baby, I'm here. Lily rubbed her eyes. Are you staying tonight? The question hit like a live wire. Emma looked at Dominic. She didn't answer without him. That respect again. That loyalty. That, more than any apology, slid under his guard like a key. He looked from Emma to his daughter. He could have said no. He didn't. For tonight, he said quietly, your mom can stay. Lily smiled, sleepy and satisfied, and walked straight over to Dominic. She wrapped her arms around his waist, pressed her cheek to his shirt, then reached one little hand out and caught Emma's fingers too. All three of them, linked. We're a family, she mumbled, already drifting. Dominic felt that in his bones. Not we were, we are, present tense. Emma's breath hitched. She covered her mouth, shoulders shaking, trying not to sob and wake the girl. Dominic swallowed hard, and in that moment, with his daughter holding both of them and his ex-wife looking at him like he was still hers, he understood something he hadn't let himself think in 3 years. He wanted this back. Not the pain, not the fear, not the way it ended, but this. Her here, his house full, his daughter whole. That was the problem. Because wanting something in his world was the fastest way to make it a target. He felt the danger of that settle in his spine. He looked at Emma, voice low. You stay, he said. You sleep in the guest room down the hall, door open. You need anything, you call my name. You don't walk outside without me or Vince. You don't open that door to anyone but me. Emma nodded, tears still on her face. Okay. He crouched in front of Lily and kissed her forehead. Go back to bed, princess. Mommy will be here in the morning. Lily nodded, satisfied, and let Emma carry her. They disappeared down the hall. Dominic stayed where he was, alone in the dining room, hands braced on the back of a chair. He should have felt calm. He didn't. He felt exposed. Because now he had two people sleeping under his roof that the world could use against him. And someone out there had already started circling. His phone buzzed again. New message from Vince. Rossi drove by slow this time. He saw the lights on. He knows she's here. You want me to handle it? Dominic stared at the screen. His expression didn't change, but his decision did. No more circling, no more watching, no more threats outside his windows. He typed one reply. No, I'll handle it. He locked the phone, slid it into his pocket, and lifted his head. If Emma was back in his house, then the war moved inside his heart. And if Rossi, or anyone else, thought she was leverage, they were going to learn what it meant to touch what belonged to Dominic Moretti. The house was quiet. Not just late-night quiet, protected quiet. The kind of quiet where the world outside could be on fire, and nothing would touch the inside unless Dominic allowed it. Emma hadn't felt that in a long time. She stood in the guest room doorway, watching Lily sleep in Dominic's bed down the hall. Lily was curled up under his blanket like a kitten, breathing slow, one hand still holding that stuffed reindeer. Emma had read to her until the little voice went soft and heavy. "Are you staying tomorrow too?" Lily had whispered, eyes already closing. "Yes," Emma had promised. And for the first time in 3 years, she had said it without lying. Now Emma leaned quietly against the wall, hands wrapped around her own elbows, just absorbing the house again. The smell of his cologne in the hallway carpet. The weight of his presence, even when he wasn't in the room. The way she still felt safe in a place she hadn't entered in 3 years. She didn't hear him approach. She just felt him. He always moved like that. Silent, controlled, ready. But she still felt the shift in the air seconds before his shadow fell over her. Her body recognized him before her mind did. "Is she out?" he asked. Emma turned. Dominic was standing there in a black t-shirt and dark sweatpants, bare forearms inked and tense, jaw shadowed. No suit, no armor. Just him. God. He looked tired and dangerous and heartbreakingly human. "She's asleep," Emma whispered. "She didn't even make it to the end of the book." A hint of warmth touched his mouth. "Yeah, she does that." Emma swallowed. She asked me if I was really staying. She made me promise." "And you did," Dominic said. "I did," Emma said softly. "I meant it." Something in his face eased at that, just a fraction, but she saw it. He jerked his chin toward the guest room. "That okay?" Emma glanced in, fresh sheets, extra blanket folded at the foot of the bed, a glass of water already waiting on the nightstand. He remembered she used to wake up thirsty. Her throat got tight. "Yes," she said. "It's perfect." He nodded once. For a moment, neither of them moved. They just stood there in the hall like it was 3 years ago again, and they were quietly checking on the baby together at 2 a.m. Except now, the air between them carried heat it didn't used to carry. Sharp, tense heat. Want layered on top of old damage. Emma's voice dropped. "Dominic, do you sleep at all?" He almost smirked. "Sometimes." "Because of work?" she asked quietly. "Or because of me?" His eyes lifted to hers. That was bold. She knew it the second it left her mouth. But she didn't take it back. "Both," he said finally. Her breath caught. He leaned against the opposite wall, folding his arms over his chest, watching her. "You being in this house again doesn't calm anything down for me," he said. "You understand that, right?" Emma nodded. "I know. It makes it worse." Her chest tightened. "Because you don't trust me?" "Because now I want things again," he said simply. Her lips parted. He didn't look away. "You want—" She swallowed. "What?" "You back where you belong," he said. Heat flashed under her skin. She tried to breathe around it. "Dominic." "Relax," he said quietly. "You're not in my bed. Yet." Her knees almost gave out. Her cheeks warmed instantly. She hated that she still reacted to him like this, like her body remembered every way he used to touch her. He saw the flush rise on her face and his eyes darkened. "Good," that look said. "You still feel me." Emma took a small breath. "I told you. I'm not here to make it complicated. I'm not here to—" "You're already complicated," he said. "That part's done." She huffed the tiniest laugh. "That's not fair." "It's honest." Her heart was jumping too fast. She lifted her hand and pushed some hair behind her ear, trying to get steady. "I meant what I said, Dominic. I didn't come back to blow up your life. I came back because I'm stable now. I can be here for her. I can actually show up. I can be a mother for real instead of a ghost she only hears stories about." He watched her for a long moment, eyes tracking every little flicker in her face. Then his voice went soft. "She needs you," he said. That hit so deep her breath shook. Emma had waited years to hear that sentence. Years. She had convinced herself she would never earn it. Hearing it from him, from the man she had walked away from the man who had every right to shut her out, almost dropped her. Her eyes glossed. "Thank you," she whispered. He shook his head. "Don't thank me. Just don't hurt her again." "I won't," she said instantly. "I swear to you, Dominic." On my life I won't. He nodded once like he'd take that as a contract. Then his gaze lowered, just for a second, to her hands. They were shaking. Not like before. Not wild, not panicked. Controlled. Contained. But shaking. You still get episodes? He asked quietly. Emma looked away, embarrassed. Sometimes. What happens? I lock up, she admitted. My brain goes white and I can't get air. Sometimes I feel like I'm falling. Sometimes I can't pick up my phone even when I know I should call someone. Sometimes I feel like I'm still in that first year with Lily, and I'm failing all over again. And now? He asked. Now it's smaller, she said. Manageable. I can pull out of it within minutes. I know what it is now. I have tools. I'm okay. And if it hits in this house? Emma looked at him. He held her gaze. If it hits while you're here, what do I do? Her throat worked. She hadn't expected that question. No one had ever asked her that. You stay close, she said softly. You tell me I'm here right now, not back then. You tell me Lily's safe. You don't leave the room. You don't tell me to calm down. You just stay. He nodded once. Done. Her eyes shined. Dom, don't cry in the hallway, he muttered. You'll wake her. That almost made her laugh through the tears again. She nodded quickly and swiped at her face. Then his voice dropped even lower. You should know something. She swallowed. What? Rossi's been circling the block, he said. Emma froze. What does that mean? It means someone in my world saw you, Dominic said, blunt and calm. It means at least one person out there now knows I've got something in this house I care about again. That cold fear slid right back into her stomach. It must have shown in her face because Dominic stepped in without thinking. His hand lifted. He didn't grab her. He didn't push her against the wall. He didn't kiss her. He cupped her jaw. His thumb rested just under her cheekbone, warm and steady, holding her face like something precious, and claimed. Her breath caught. Her body lit up instantly under his touch. Every nerve remembered him, recognized him, leaned into him like she had never left. His voice stayed quiet, deep, certain. Listen to me, he said. Nobody touches you. Nobody touches Lily. I don't care who's circling. I don't care what they think they can do. That's done. She swallowed. Dominic, this is my house, he said. My ground, my people, my rules. You're under me again. That means you're covered. Her eyes burned. You're saying that like I never stopped being yours. He didn't even blink. You didn't. Her breath stuttered. Her chest rose and fell faster. He was too close, too warm, too much. She could smell him, that same clean dark scent at his throat. She could feel the heat of his body. She remembered exactly how it felt to be pulled against it. Her voice dropped to almost nothing. Dominic. Yeah, he said. I thought you hated me. I told you already, he said softly. I never hated you. What did you feel then? He leaned in just enough that she could feel his breath near her mouth, close enough to promise, not close enough to touch. Empty, he said. Her heart cracked open. Emma's hand lifted before she even planned it. She set her fingertips against his chest, just over his heartbeat. Slow, careful, needing to know if this was real. He didn't stop her. In fact, he covered her hand with his palm and pressed her in closer. Her breath caught hard. That was the first time they'd touched like that in 3 years. Her skin shivered. She looked up at him and whispered, If I stay, if I try, is that something you even want? Or am I just here because of Lily? He didn't answer right away. He traced his thumb slowly along her cheek, down to her jaw, then her throat. Possessive, gentle, dangerous. Her knees almost went out. Finally, he said, low and honest, I don't do halfway, Emma. If you're in, you're in. With her, with me, with the last name, with the protection, with the consequences. You don't get to pick only the parts that feel safe. Her pulse kicked. Do you understand what that means? He asked. Emma nodded, eyes on his. Yes. Do you really? She swallowed. It means if I stay, I'm yours again, and that makes me a target again. And you're saying you'll deal with that. I'm saying, he murmured, I'll end anything that tries to come near you. Her throat worked. Her voice shook when she whispered, you can't just say things like that and then not. He pulled back half an inch. Her body swayed toward him before she could stop it. He saw it. His mouth curved, just a little. Dark. Satisfied. Go to bed, Emma, he said softly, before I change my mind and take what I've been wanting since last night. Heat shot straight through her. Her breath came out unsteady. Dominic. Door open, he said. If you need anything, you say my name. I'll hear you. Emma nodded. She couldn't get her voice to work. And Emma? She lifted her eyes again. His voice dropped even lower. Don't run. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not again. She held his gaze. I won't, she whispered. Good, he said. He let his hand fall from her jaw, but not immediately. He dragged his thumb one last time, slow along her throat, like a promise he hadn't cashed yet. Then he stepped back. Her knees were weak. Her heart was pounding. Her skin still felt his hand. She backed into the guest room doorway, watching him in the dim hallway light. Watching the way his shoulders filled the space. Watching the way he didn't look away from her, like he was staking claim without even touching her mouth. Good night, Dominic, she managed. Night, he said. She started to turn, then stopped. Dom? He lifted his chin. If Rossi tries anything, she whispered, what are you going to do? His eyes went flat, cold. End it, he said. She swallowed. How? He held her there with that gaze, the one the rest of the world feared and she used to trust with her life. That's not something you need to see, he said. Her stomach flipped, because she understood what that meant. He wasn't just talking about warning someone off. He was talking about removing the threat entirely, permanently, for her, for their daughter, for their house. Her pulse hammered. Fear and heat mixed in her chest in a way that almost made her shake. And that was the moment she realized something that stunned her. She wasn't scared of him. She was scared for him. Be careful, she whispered. His mouth twitched like that word didn't apply to him. Sleep, he said again. Final. She nodded and stepped back into the guest room. He stayed in the hall for a long time after she disappeared, listening, making sure both doors were open, making sure both of his girls were breathing steady. Then he finally moved, not to bed, to his office. Because Rossi had made a mistake. He had come near Dominic's weak spot. Only Dominic Moretti didn't have weak spots, not anymore. He had priorities, and anyone who tested those didn't last long. Morning light slipped through the curtains, soft and golden against the pale December sky. For the first time in years, Dominic woke to the sound of two voices downstairs, one small, one familiar. He stayed still for a moment, listening. Lily was laughing. Emma was talking softly, probably making pancakes the way she used to. Too much vanilla, too little patience. The sound hit something deep in him, something that had been silent since the day she walked out. He got up, pulled on a shirt, and went downstairs. The kitchen smelled like coffee and syrup. Emma stood barefoot by the stove, hair messy, one of his old shirts thrown over her pajamas. Lily was perched on the counter, kicking her legs while stirring batter. They both looked up when he entered. "Daddy," Lily grinned. "We made breakfast." Dominic's voice came out lower than he meant. "Yeah? Smells like you burned it." Emma laughed softly. "Only the first 3. The domestic scene felt like a dream he shouldn't be having. For a second he let himself enjoy it. Then the part of him that never slept, the part trained to expect war, kicked back in. He moved closer, brushing his hand over Lily's hair. "Eat slow, princess. You're not racing anyone." When she giggled, he looked at Emma again. "Sleep okay?" She nodded. "I did, thank you." He didn't say you're welcome. He just poured himself coffee and leaned against the counter, studying her while pretending not to. She noticed. Of course she did. She always had. After breakfast, Lily ran to the living room to play with her new dollhouse. The second she was out of earshot, Emma turned. "Dom," she said quietly. "Last night when you told me about Rossi." He looked up. "What about him? What are you going to do?" His tone was flat. "Whatever I have to." Emma shook her head. "That's not an answer. If something happens to you." He cut her off. "Nothing's going to happen to me." Her eyes flashed. "You don't know that. You can't fight the whole world forever." He stepped closer, voice low. "Watch me." Emma's breath caught. "Dominic, you can't solve every threat with violence. That's not what Lily needs to see." He froze at that. She was right. He knew it. But the thought of anyone near his daughter made his blood go cold. "She won't see anything," he said. "That's my job." "And mine," she said firmly. "You're not the only one who protects her." He stared at her for a long beat, then exhaled. "You're not wrong." That small admission was bigger than any apology. Emma softened. "I don't want to fight you. I just don't want to lose you again." "You won't," he said quietly. "Not unless you walk out." "I won't," she promised. A knock sounded at the front door. Sharp, fast. Dominic's body reacted before his brain did, hand already on the weapon tucked at his back. Emma went pale. "Who?" "Stay here," he ordered. He crossed the foyer and opened the door a few inches. Vince stood on the porch, face tense. "What?" Dominic asked. "Rossi's people are talking," Vince said. "They saw her here. Word is he wants to send a message." Dominic's jaw locked. "Where is he now?" "Hotel off Route 9. "You want me to take care of it?" "No," Dominic said. "I'll handle him myself." Vince hesitated. "Boss, I said myself." Vince nodded once and backed away. When Dominic closed the door, Emma was standing at the end of the hallway. Her voice shook. "You're going after him, aren't you?" "I have to." "Please don't," she whispered. "Not tonight. Not with Lily here." He stepped toward her. "Emma, he saw you. That means he saw her. If I don't make this stop now, it'll never stop." Her eyes filled. "Then let me come with you." He stared at her. "Absolutely not." "I'm not scared of your world anymore," she said. "Not if it means keeping her safe." His tone turned soft but firm. "That's not what scares me. What scares me is losing both of you in the same night." Emma's breath hitched. She looked at him. At the man everyone feared, standing there like he'd already accepted he'd die if it meant keeping them safe. "Please," she said, voice barely a whisper. "Promise me you'll come back." He reached out, brushed his thumb across her lips. "You have my word." That small touch sent fire through both of them. "Dominic," she whispered, her eyes flicking to his mouth. He exhaled slowly, fighting the pull. "Not yet," he murmured. "When this is over." "When what's over?" "When it's safe to touch you again." She swallowed hard. "Then make it safe." He nodded once, eyes dark. "Stay with her. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone but me." And just like that, he was gone. Hours later, the world outside was silent again. Emma sat by the window, holding a mug she hadn't drunk from, staring at the snow falling under the streetlights. Lily was asleep on the couch beside her, wrapped in a blanket. When headlights swept across the front yard, Emma's heart jumped. The SUV door opened. Dominic stepped out, coat dusted with snow, eyes darker than midnight, but alive. She ran to the door and opened it before he could knock. "You're okay?" she breathed. He nodded once. "It's done." She searched his face. "Done? How?" "Rossi's not coming back." Emma didn't ask more. She didn't need to. The way Dominic's shoulders relaxed said enough. "Are you hurt?" she whispered. "No." "Then come inside." He did. He dropped his coat, knelt beside the couch, and brushed a hand through Lily's hair. The little girl stirred, eyes blinking open. "Daddy?" "Hey, princess," he murmured. "Go back to sleep. Everything's fine." She smiled faintly. Mommy stayed. Emma nodded, voice soft. I told you I would. Lily's eyes fluttered closed again. We're family, she murmured in her sleep. The words landed like a knife and a prayer at once. Dominic looked at Emma, throat tight. She covered her mouth, tears spilling quietly. She's right, he said finally, voice rough. We are. He stood slowly, cupped her face in both hands, and for the first time in years, kissed her. It wasn't soft. It wasn't careful. It was everything he'd held back for 3 years. All the anger, the longing, the forgiveness he didn't know how to give until now. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. No more running, he said. No more hiding, she whispered. Outside, the first rays of dawn touched the snow, turning it gold. For the first time in a long time, Dominic Moretti felt peace. 6 months later. Spring sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the Moretti estate, warm and clean, painting soft gold across the polished floors. The snow that had once covered the driveway was gone, replaced by blooming roses and the faint hum of the city beyond the gates. Inside, laughter echoed through the halls. Lily's laughter, Emma's voice following close behind. Dominic stood in the doorway of his office, watching them from across the living room. Lily was sprawled on the floor with crayons and paper, drawing a crooked house with 3 stick figures, a tall one, a smaller one, and a tiny one between them. Above them, she'd written, Our family. Emma leaned against the sofa, helping her color the sun. Her hair glowed in the light, loose and soft around her shoulders. Every time she smiled, something in Dominic's chest eased. Something that hadn't felt calm in years. He wasn't used to quiet. He wasn't used to peace. But every time he saw them like this, he wondered why he'd ever lived without it. Emma looked up and caught him watching. You're supposed to be working, she said, smiling. I am, he answered. I'm making sure my house is in order. She laughed. Nice try, boss. Lily looked up from her drawing. Daddy, look! Mommy drew the sun. Looks good, princess. She said it's shining on us because we're happy again, Lily said. Emma blushed. I did not. Dominic cut her off gently. She's right. The moment stretched warm and easy between them. This was the kind of day Dominic had promised himself long ago, but never believed he'd get. The kind where nothing exploded, no one screamed, and love wasn't something he had to protect with a gun. That night, after dinner, Emma tucked Lily into bed. Dominic watched from the doorway as she leaned over to kiss their daughter's forehead. Good night, my love, Emma whispered. Lily blinked sleepily. You'll be here tomorrow, right? Yes, baby, she said softly. I'll be here. When the door closed, Emma turned and found Dominic leaning against the wall. His sleeves were rolled up, the top button of his shirt undone. He looked tired, but not from war this time. From living, from feeling again. She falls asleep faster when you read, he said quietly. Emma smiled. Because you used to do all the voices. He chuckled. I still can. I know, she said softly. She told me you make the best dragons. He tilted his head. She tell you who the dragon's protecting? Emma's voice caught. The princess? No, he said. The queen. She swallowed hard. He stepped closer, slowly, until she could feel his warmth. The hallway light wrapped them in gold. You've been good for her, he said. Better than I could have hoped. She's been good for me, Emma whispered. She's been good for both of us. Their eyes held, long enough for the silence to feel charged. He could have kissed her then. Maybe he almost did. But the sound of the security intercom broke through the moment, a sharp buzz that made Dominic's body tighten instantly. He turned, voice clipped. Stay here. Dom, I mean it. He moved fast down the hall, the shift in him immediate, from father to protector. The guards near the entrance were already alert. Vince met him halfway, tension written across his face. Boss, Vince said, we've got movement. Dominic's voice was low. Talk. One of Rossi's old men. Name's Calder. He's been sniffing around. Says he wants to talk business. Dominic's eyes went cold. Rossi's dead. Yeah, but this one thinks you'll want to reopen opportunities. He's been watching the house since afternoon. Dominic's hands flexed at his sides. He saw her? Maybe. The kid too. That was enough. Where is he now? Across from the park, blue sedan, 2 others with him. Dominic didn't hesitate. Get the car. Vince paused. You want backup? I'll handle it. Boss, I don't like... I said I'll handle it. The tone left no room for argument. Emma waited in the living room, pacing. When Dominic came back down the stairs in his dark coat, she froze. Where are you going? Out. Her voice rose. You said you'd stay out of it. You promised. He stopped in front of her, close enough to see the fear trembling behind her anger. This isn't a promise I can keep if it means putting you in danger. Then let someone else handle it, she pleaded. Don't do this again. He cupped her face suddenly, firm but gentle. Emma, listen to me. Her breath hitched. No one touches this house. No one touches you. You wanted me to protect our daughter. This is how I do it. Dominic, he kissed her forehead once. Stay with her. I'll be back. And then he was gone. The street was dark except for the occasional sweep of headlights. Dominic's car rolled to a stop behind a row of parked vehicles. Across the street, a blue sedan idled under a flickering lamppost. He got out, unarmed except for the weapon holstered under his coat, more out of habit than need. His presence was enough. The passenger window slid down. A man leaned out, cigarette burning between his fingers. Heard you might want to make peace, the man said, voice lazy. Old business, new start. Dominic stared at him. You've got 5 seconds to drive away. The man smirked. Not how we do business, boss. Thought you'd like to talk. Dominic's tone dropped to steel. This is me talking. The smirk faltered. Dominic leaned down, his voice quiet, controlled, lethal. You parked across from my house. You looked at what's mine. You thought I wouldn't notice. Leave Chicago tonight. Don't stop until you cross a border. If you're still in this city by sunrise, I'll burn every name you've ever spoken to. The cigarette trembled in the man's fingers. He dropped it, crushed it under his shoe, and muttered, Understood. By the time Dominic turned back toward his car, the blue sedan was already disappearing into the dark. When he came home, the house was silent again. But this time, not the kind of silence that scared him. Emma was waiting in the living room, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. The lamp beside her threw soft light across her face. She looked up the second he stepped inside. You're okay, she breathed. He nodded. It's handled. Her eyes shimmered. Handled how? He didn't answer right away. He just sat beside her, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. She touched his arm. You can tell me. He looked at her. Really looked. He won't be coming back. None of them will. Her voice trembled. How many more times do you have to do this? As many as it takes, he said. Her eyes filled. You can't live like that forever. I don't plan to, he said quietly. Not if you keep staying. She froze. What? He turned to her fully. You keep this house warm. You keep her happy. You keep me human. That's how it ends, when I've got more to lose than they can take. Her tears slipped free. Dominic. He reached up and wiped them away with his thumb. Don't cry. You're safe. She leaned closer, whispering, I don't cry because I'm scared anymore. I cry because you're still the same man I fell in love with, and I can't believe I almost lost you. He exhaled, slow. Then stop almost losing me. She smiled through her tears, then stop walking into danger. Deal, he murmured. Their eyes held, and this time there was no fear, no hesitation. He leaned in and kissed her. Not the desperate kind of kiss that belongs to people trying to remember how to feel, but the quiet kind that belongs to those who've already found it again. She melted into him, her hands on his chest, his fingers tangled in her hair. For a few seconds, the whole world disappeared. When they pulled apart, Emma rested her forehead against his. So what now? Now, he said softly. We live. Later that night, they stood on the porch together, watching the city lights in the distance. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch, her tiny hand still gripping her drawing, Our Family. Emma leaned against him. Do you ever think about what would have happened if she hadn't seen me that night? He looked down at her, his voice low. Every day. And? He brushed a strand of hair from her face. I think I'd still be half alive, breathing but not living. She smiled faintly. I think I'd still be running. Then we were both lost, he said, until her. Emma followed his gaze to the window, where Lily slept peacefully under a blanket. She's the best thing we ever did right. She's the best thing I ever had, he said quietly. Next to you. Emma blinked back tears, squeezing his hand. He kissed her temple and whispered, You two are my peace, Emma. The only peace I'll ever need. The night air was cool, the world still. Lily stirred in her sleep and mumbled something, half dreaming. Emma smiled. What did she say? Dominic listened, heart twisting when he heard it. The same two words that had started it all. She said, We're family. Emma pressed her hand to his chest. We are, she whispered. He wrapped his arm around her, pulling her close. Yeah, he said softly. We are. The city glowed in the distance, but inside the Moretti house, everything that mattered was already here. Quiet, safe, alive. And for the first time in his life, Dominic Moretti finally understood that love didn't make a man weak. It made him unstoppable. Because everything he had left to protect, his daughter, his woman, his peace, had started with two simple words spoken by a 5-year-old girl. We're family. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.